What's up, everybody? I'm Odin Rye, and this is the channel. It's my first video, so this will be pretty fun. Got a lot of cool plans for the channel, so we'll see how it goes, but today we're just talking about broadheads and sharpness and the importance of all that shit. It is one of the key factors of hunting. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is just sharpening. A lot of people have an issue with sharpening. I'm just going to brace through it quickly. I'm going to make a different video about sharpening because it's a whole fucking thing on it. Alright, well, let's jump right into this. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is why you need a sharp blade. A lot of people, and I've heard from a lot of places, some people will just, they'll take their broadheads out. A lot of people, they usually use mechanicals, and I'll talk about mechanicals in a second, mechanical heads, but I myself am not a fan of them, and I'll talk about that after this. But I'm going to use an example of a fixed blade. It's a Magnus, and these are my favorite. Magnus are fucking amazing heads. I've never had a problem with them. That Tonto tip, it's fucking amazing. The heads I try to make and things I work on, I try to also use a Tonto tip if I'm using these kind of bevels, double bevel, etc. Because even single bevel, that Tonto tip, it really fucking keeps the integrity of the blade. So that keeps it from bending, and even if this bends, you can just grind it right out, resharpen it again. It's an amazing feature. But anyway, let's get to the importance. So a lot of people, they'll take their broadheads out and they'll go out hunting, and before the hunt, you're sitting in camp or you're sitting outside wherever you are hunting, private property, public land, whatever you're doing. No matter what, you want to sight everything in, making sure your bow is doing what you want it to do and what it's been supposed to do, and it's continuing that. And if you shoot every single day and you know what your bow's going to do, you might not even need a warm up, but some people don't. Some people, they only shoot on the weekends, they don't get enough practice in, so it's good for them to really try before they go and hunt to practice that shooting. And so they'll take their broadheads because they shoot differently, they have a different weight, so you do want to tune those into your bow. And if you haven't already tuned your sight into it and everything, then man, why are you even fucking bothering? But the basic is, a lot of dudes will shoot it into the target a couple times, maybe 3 or 4 times. Now that they got their shot zeroed into where they want it, be like, all right, good, now I'll go hunting with that broadhead. No. Just no. Don't ever fucking do that. And I'll tell you why. So I'm going to make a little diagram, kind of make an easy idea of why it's so important. Alright, so basically when you're shooting a deer, a raccoon, whatever the fuck you're shooting, I don't give a shit. Let's say, this is a shitty drawing, don't hand me for this. Let's say this is the hard area, right? And then you got all the surrounding area. This is the kill zone. The lungs are back here, and shit, I'll just throw that shape in really quick just to get an idea. So usually the lungs in most animals kind of hang out in this area. I'm just going to use a deer and that kind of idea of anatomy for this, so I'm using the idea of anatomy of deer, and I did mess it up a little, so let's fix that. So going this bottom line down here, this is like the long area, right, hard area, and then as you can see with the veins, they quickly and very, very fucking quickly start dropping in size to the point where they're a lot of veins. You'll have main vessels and you'll have main arteries, and they'll look like something like that coming off their simple size, but almost billions and billions and billions of veins all around the animal, and especially around the area of the heart where they all start coming out. There'll be these smaller veins, and as they come off, they become quite literally microscopic. They come to the size of 25 to 0.25 microns, and if you know what microns are, that's fucking small, man. And the reason you want that blade to be so fucking razor sharp is because those little veins, those little tiny microscopic veins that go down to micron size, if you cut even those, and with that razor sharp blade, it's going to cut every single thing it passes through in the exact diameter of whatever blade you're shooting, as long as it's actually razor sharp. And if you cut all those little tiny veins along with the main arteries, you can get up to twice, 3 times, even 4 times the amount of bleed out that you would normally get. And that's going to put the animal down 1, 2, 3, or 4 times faster. And not only that, It'll be more humane. It's a lot less painful for the animal because I don't know if you've ever been jabbed in the leg accidentally with a fork, butter knife, cut you. Dull shit hurts. Getting cut with something dull is very cruel and very harsh, and when it's doing that to your main like heart lung area, imagine being that animal. It's not an experience you'd ever want something to go through unless you're a psychopath. But if you have that razor fucking sharp blade, you're gonna cut every single artery, every single tiny little vein that comes down to these little micron sizes, and you're gonna make sure that the animal bleeds out quickly without feeling pain, because when it's that sharp, it just goes straight through, and that sharpness keeps them from really feeling it. If you've ever been I don't know. Most people, if watching this, you probably have. If you've used a razor blade at any point, accidentally cut yourself with a razor blade, you don't even notice sometimes. You'll keep doing stuff, and you look down, oh shit, I'm bleeding everywhere. Let's say you have a freshly sharpened broadhead that you sharpen properly, you accidentally touch it to your skin a little too much, and all of a sudden you're bleeding all over the place. Oh fuck. But you never notice because it's so sharp. It just cuts it without nerves being able to notice because they just get severed instantly. It's pretty crazy. So it's just straight out. The reason you should do it is because it's humane, it's going to be efficient, and it's going to get you your animal. So let's just say the guy who went and shot his target a few times, maybe 3-6 times even with his broadhead, like right out of the package, hunting sharp, which I'll talk about that too, but he takes it out, shoots it a few times, and then he goes on his hunt without doing anything. And the reason that's so bad is, let's say that blade now doesn't have as much of an edge, and it can't, because you're rolling a burr on the blade, and you're catching that burr, and you're using the other side. And when you're sharpening, you're trying to get that burr perfectly straight so you can create a razor. And the problem with shooting them is once even just one shot, you can mess the burr up, which it's still going to be fucking razor sharp, even if the burr's a little messed up. But it's going to take away some of that sharpness, and even taking away just that much, I'll explain why. So this guy goes out with his dull blade, and let's say he's going deer hunting, sees a whitetail, lucky day, and he makes a good shot right behind the heart, like lung area, maybe a little low, like tapping the lungs, but his blade's dull. So he doesn't get a pass through. Not only that, you're risking not cutting nearly as much. So you might only cut main vessels and large enough vessels. The smaller vessels on the sides and all these little things, and especially bone material and other things like that, they're just not going to get cut. It's just not going to be able to do it. And since it's duller, instead of cutting, it's going to be pushing into the meat. And if it's pushing in, that can be a problem because it can be rolling over it, not cutting anything, and just kind of pushing a smaller hole, even though it's a big diameter, into it. That sounds weird, but once you start getting into the science of it and looking into it, it makes a lot more sense. When a blade's dull, it can start actually pushing the meat aside and cutting a very small amount of a hole, maybe even just the size of the tip of this, but it's pushing the rest of that meat aside and passing through. So you might as well be shooting that big old whitetail with a fucking rabbit head. Now, not to say that was really a rabbit head, but I'm just saying something really small and unuseful for that. And shit, I mean, if you get a heart shot, it doesn't matter what the size of your broadhead is, but you don't always get a perfect shot, especially if you're shooting recurve. And even if you have, like, I use a modern setup with a recurve, it's a mix, and I'll explain my setup in a different video. That's complicated, but the point is, if you don't have enough power, per se, or even if you do have enough power to just push it through no matter what, it might not kill it in enough time, and it could get away good, past 160 meters, even farther, to the point where you're going to be following a blood trail to the point where the trail might stop. Or even worse, it might not even create a blood trail because you didn't cut it enough. So that's why I'm going to talk to you about the importance of sharpness. With something sharper than a razor blade, like my blades, I spend hours and hours doing my sharpening process. What starts with something like a heavy grit sharpening stone all the way down to, where's my phone, like a super fine one, and then after you get down to your finest stone, you move on to stroping, which is a whole different thing, or straping, whatever. It's late, but you're basically working that burr and smoothing the entire edge of the blade to the point where you're buffing a burr perfectly straight, and the blade becomes sharper than a razor blade. I mean, shit. I don't even want to touch this, which says something, because, like, fuck, I need to sharpen my skinning knives. I got a buck knife that was my great-great-grandfather's. It's not that sharp. It's sharp enough to, you can really cut into things. I mean, shit, let me grab this piece of paper. It's definitely sharp, but it's not sharp enough. I can still run my finger across it. It's not that sketchy. Now, the broadheads that I sharpened to absolute fucking hell. I don't even want to risk it. I've done it already, and it just starts cutting right into the skin as soon as you touch them. And that's how I want everybody who's watching this video, if you care, to really pay attention to sharpening. Put hours into it if you have to. And here's another thing about sharpening. And again, I'm going to make a different video so you can actually listen about this. But sharpening is a process, and it's an art in a way. And if you don't spend time doing it and learning how to do it properly, you're never going to get it, and it's going to frustrate you, and you're going to ruin broadheads. And no matter what, when you're learning it, you're going to ruin a couple broadheads probably, especially if you're using hand methods. I have a knife sharpener that's set up with these. Put these in different lengths for the bevel. But the problem is, I don't like using that. I've grown up my whole life using, where'd I put that guy? Stuff like this, which is, big whetstones. So I'm used to using by hand and knowing the angle. So with these, it's really nice. Something like this, get a kit yourself, and you can really work this way down the blade, move down, 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 and start stroping with, you can do a poor man's stroke with just some fucking, just, I don't have a great example, but like, the back of a piece of cardboard where it's not the colored part, it's that nice gray flat. It's got those little nice pieces of hairs that come out and create a really nice surface for it. And even better, if you really want to take it a step up, you can make a leather stroke, which is the back of the leather, and you run it the opposite way of when you would be sharpening it. And it's because you're moving the burr and you're polishing the blade at that point. And you do that for a long time, and both take a bit of experience, and once you get into it, you can just do it out, and I'd say it takes me about 20-30 minutes per blade to really get them crazy good. And before it, when I first started sharpening even knives and stuff, it could take me up to an hour or 2-3 hours. So just spending time doing it, you cut down the time it takes you to do it next time. So shit, let's say you're out on a hunt, you used all your broadheads somehow, and you need to resharpen a couple of them. You can just take them back to your truck, wherever you're at, spend about a good half an hour in there, and you'll have yourself 1 or 2 good broadheads again, and you'll know that they'll cut. And of course, sharpness goes around for any broadhead, doesn't matter what type. Like, let's say you're shooting something like a single bevel. This is a single bevel that I made a while back out of a cheap head just to do some testing. Like single bevels, they only have one sharpened side, and even with the single bevel, you really want to make sure that thing is razor sharp. I need to give this thing a little stroping, but it's at like a little close to razor point right now. Like it's a little sketchy touching it. But same goes with that. Two-sided, smaller heads, even whatever you're using. Freaking, these are cool. I'm gonna make a video about how I made these because I invented them. These are rabbit broadheads that I've invented because I don't want to shoot rabbits with blunts. I've never liked doing it. I want it to go straight through and sink it into the ground. So these are rabbit broadheads, and they're real small. You'd think, it's a rabbit, you don't need to sharpen them. That's fucking bullshit. These are just as sharp as this almost. Except for, this is pretty hard to get it super sharp when it's this small because it's really detailed, but you can get these to the point where, like, that is, I don't even like touching that one. And, you want to make sure every single fucking broadhead is that sharp. Sharpness, it fucking matters, man. I don't care who you are, what you're using, mechanicals, whatever. It matters. It really fucking matters. And speaking of, let's get on to mechanicals real quick. So, like I said, I'm not a fan of mechanicals. The idea of them, everything. It's a lot of people like them, and that's fine. I don't give a shit if you like mechanicals. If you want to go and hunt with mechanicals, go for it. But what I've seen from other people, especially that use mechanicals, is I don't see many pass-throughs. The arrows get stuck in them. The other problem is they don't always deploy. The blades just aren't sharp, and it's usually lower quality. And I could go on the list, but just to simplify it a little bit, mechanicals, when you buy them in the package, like let's say you buy a pack of Magnus, when you get them, they're hunting sharp, which means they're razor blade sharp. And you can get them way sharper than that even. That's what striping's for. And so when I buy them new, I don't sharpen them at all, but I do stroke them. And then the next time after they get used, right after they get used, even just once, stroke them again, or if they need it, sharpen them again. And the thing about mechanical blades is it's nearly impossible to sharpen a lot of those, because you're talking about something that's, it's like a field point. They look kind of like this. They're just a little longer, and they'll have blades inside that come out, and the blades are usually tiny. And not only are they tiny, a lot of companies, even if you pay 40, 50, 60, even $70 for 3-pack of broadheads of those things, the blades are cheap steel. It's not like hard, special knife grade steel kind of shit that most single, just normal broadheads are. Mechanical broadheads are just made with factory steel. There's stuff they can pump out, stuff that's good for smaller blades, but the problem with that is they bend, they break, and when they hit things like bone and cartilage, just good luck ever fucking using that broadhead again after that. I'm telling you right now. You could buy $100 2-pack, just two of them, $50 each, like the craziest mechanicals. And I guarantee you, if you hit a heavy enough bone, they'll break. And the thing is about things like Magnus, these single blade, very simple blades, like just old fashioned, they don't break on bone. I've seen videos of guys hunting elks, fucking polar bears, fucking hippos, all kinds of crazy ass shit that you would think, what the fuck? And they're still sharp on the way out, which is just, those things hit big old fucking shoulders this thick and stuff, and they're shooting huge fucking bows, but it doesn't matter. The point is, mechanicals suck ass, and that's my opinion, and everyone is, entitled to their own opinion. I don't care if you like mechanicals, and if they work for you better than fixed blades, use them. If that's what works for you, do not change. You don't have to change, but I think you should consider it, especially if you're a mechanical user right now that's never tried fixed blades, just because you hear maybe like, they affect trajectory, blah, blah, blah. They don't. That's a lie. It's a myth. They don't do that at all. In fact, I've actually found they can actually improve your accuracy sometimes, because really they do create another vein on the arrow, and that just really helps with spin. It helps with just angling it, and they got better weight, and that weight in the front really helps it keep a straight path. There's a lot of stuff behind it I'm not going to get into, but just to simplify things for everybody, heavy, big broadheads like this, that's how you get everything. And there's no arguing that. A lot of people can try and argue it, but if you're trying to get, especially something like let's say, I'm gonna make a video about this too, quartering. Say the deer's at an angle, and you cannot shoot at your normal spot, because if you shoot right behind the shoulder, it's gonna come out in the guts. You don't want that, so you might have to shoot high into the shoulder, so that the outside, it's coming back out the other side near the heart. So no matter what, you're gonna hit the heart that way, but you're gonna have to move your shot possibly even into the shoulder blade. And when you do that, if you have a mechanical that is gonna break on bone, you just can't ethically take that shot. It's gonna stick in there, and they're just gonna be walking around in an arrow, and that's with an arrow in their shoulder for God knows how long before they die. And that's just fucked up. You should never take a shot like that. But with heavy broadheads and the right equipment, you can take that shot without even worrying. It'll pass right through all that bone. And that is the importance of these things. But they'll only do that if they're sharpened. And they have to be sharp. You can't just come out there with dull ones. You can't just come out to your field, shoot that broadhead, and then bring it out hunting without sharpening it. Bring your fucking stones with you when you go hunting, if you know you're going to be out there for a while, or you're going to possibly have to resharpen a couple broadheads. Don't fuck yourself over. It's simple as that. And yeah, and I've seen a lot of videos, and a lot of guys just fuck up their shots, lose their deer, lose their coyote, lose their all kinds of stuff. I've seen people lose fucking bunnies because they use the wrong sharpness. All kinds of stuff. It matters. It really, really does. And that's really the point of this video. It's first video. I thought, sharpness. That's something I need to cover because not enough people think about it. You'd be surprised. There's so many videos of deer just getting hit in what you would think is a kill zone, and they're walking away, and they got away, and they probably lived. This is even weirder to think about. And that's all because they didn't sharpen their heads, or they were using dull mechanicals. And the thing about mechanicals, like I said, almost impossible to sharpen most of those. Not to say you can't. Sometimes there's kits for it. Sometimes you can send them to people and they can figure it out, whatever else. But most of the time, you can't just pull that broadhead out. Oh no, I see something else and I have another tag. Take it out, sharpen it, and then go. You just can't do that with those things. It's impossible. And anyone will tell you that if they know what they're talking about. Don't invest money into mechanicals, in my opinion. And I'm gonna stop with that rant because I don't want to go on about it forever. Like I said, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. So if you want mechanicals, go ahead, but really, really, really consider it. And hey, if you have differing opinions, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Tell me what you think. If you like mechanicals more and you disagree and think there's some other reason you can make them better, or there's a good reason to use them, let me know. I'm always curious to hear what other people's information is. It's always good to learn. And if you guys think that it's better, maybe I'll give them another go. But I've only tried them once, hated them. That's just my opinion. But fixed blades, man, they just can't go wrong. There's no. And that's about all the information I can think of for. And I could go on and go on about this, but it's my first video. I'm not gonna make a rant video and just go on and go on for a whole hour about this shit. Honestly, I'll probably make another video about sharpness that really goes in depth. This is more of an introduction, and there it is. And I just hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you can like and subscribe. If you don't want to, I don't care. I'm going to be making more videos soon here. I'm going on a hunt this weekend for rabbit and coyote, so we'll see how that goes. It's a private property hunt. I might do some recording for that, try and get good videos of it, but we'll see. We'll see. English is not doing that good tonight. But, yeah, that's all I can think of for that today. And other ideas or videos that are coming out soon that I can think of are I am going to make a video, like I said, about sharpening your blades and why that is like I explained why it's important in this video, but I'll probably explain it again because sharpen your fucking blades, that's why. But yeah, it's an important thing you gotta know, and I just want to get that information out there for people because through my own research on YouTube, there's not too many videos about sharpening broadheads that really go into it. Like there's some good ones out there, and you can find some. I learned a lot of ways from other guys on YouTube, and I'll try and find their videos and source them if I can, but the importance is, I want to get that information out there for people, especially with sharpening. A lot of people are curious about different ways of sharpening, and the way I do it is I've never seen a better method. It's by hand, and it's tricky, so if I can teach that to people, share that knowledge, that would be really awesome. Other than that, I'm going to be, just sharing hunting videos, hunts I go on, try and get good recordings of whatever I can, and going to be making review videos about what you should do to practice, like muscles building and things like that, and all these different things. Like one thing about muscle building, a lot of people think it's mostly just in the gym to get your muscles bigger for working out with a bow, and that's just straight up bullshit. Shoot your fucking bow. But the thing is, there's also conditioning you can use to build those muscles mixed with shooting your bow a lot, and that's really how you build those muscles. And just things like that, like things I want to bring to people's attention so they can really work on it, because it's worked best for me and it's worked best for everybody else I've seen around that are actually getting good kills. So yeah, if you love hunting, if you like my videos or anything like that, it's awesome. I'm heading out. Much love, and stay lifted, everybody.